If you have been around here for a little while, you know I love a good fresh start, right? A new notebook, a brand new clean planner, a total reset moment. But this year, instead of talking about all of these new things that I'm doing, I did want to take a minute to sit down and just share something a little different. I want to talk about the things that I'm actually not going to be doing this homeschool year. Now, this isn't because I've figured everything out, certainly not. And it's not because I've arrived at some magical place where homeschool is just peaceful and smooth, but more because over the years, and especially over the last few seasons, I've learned that sometimes the healthiest, most life-giving choice is knowing what not to change, what not to add, and what not to carry with you. If you are heading into a new homeschool year feeling a little tired or unsure, or maybe you're just tempted to overhaul everything because it's a new season, this video is for you. The first thing that I am not doing this homeschool year is changing our general schedule. And let's just take a second, because this can almost feel a little rebellious in homeschool circles. It seems like there is a little bit of pressure to reinvent the wheel every year. Try a new system, a new routine, a new schedule. Maybe you need a little flow. But really last year, just our general rhythm worked really well for our family. It wasn't perfect, of course. We did still have hard days, but it worked well. And so instead of assuming that a new year requires brand new structure, I'm just choosing to build on what already worked for us. That doesn't mean we won't tweak things. It doesn't mean we won't shift things as we go, but our basic flow, our morning work, our independent time, and those slower afternoons, that's the foundation, and that's staying. One of the biggest lessons I learned is that consistency creates safety, especially for kids, but honestly, for mom too. When everyone knows what the day generally holds, there's less emotional energy spent on bracing for possible chaos. If you are wondering what this might look like for you, before you change your schedule, ask yourself, what actually wasn't working last year? Not what felt boring, not what looked different than Instagram, but what truly caused stress or some friction in your home. If the answer is not much, then it might be okay, healthy even, to let your schedule stay mostly the same. The second thing I am not doing this year is chasing the latest, greatest curriculum. This one used to get me, y'all. Every new release, every glowing review, this changed our homeschool post. And listen, I love curriculum, okay? I really do. I think it is a gift that we have so many options, but we already have our curriculum picked out. And most importantly, it's working. So unless something truly stops serving my child or my family, I'm just going to stick with it. Curriculum is a tool, not a solution. It doesn't fix the hard days, it doesn't guarantee engagement, and it doesn't replace your connection. One thing I always want homeschool moms to hear is this: if you are constantly switching curriculum, it's almost impossible to tell what is actually working. Sometimes kids just need a little time to settle. Sometimes moms need some time to feel confident teaching the curriculum. Sometimes the fruit just grows slowly. A practical question I ask myself before changing anything: is this actually working, or are we just feeling a little unsure? Those are two very different things. And if you're feeling unsure, the answer often isn't new curriculum. It's usually support, maybe clarity, maybe a little bit of margin. Now, the third thing I am not doing this year is overloading our days or overplanning every detail. I used to think a good homeschool day meant checking every box. Now I know better. Full doesn't mean effective. Busy doesn't mean fruitful. Some of the calmest, most productive seasons we've had came when I actually left space in the day. Space for conversations, for rabbit trails, for rest, and yeah, sometimes for bad moods. I'm not planning our days down to the minute. I'm not stacking subject on top of subject just to feel accomplished. Instead, I'm just planning those anchors. Our morning work, our focused school time together, independent work, and afternoon freedom. And then just let the rest of the day kind of breathe. A really practical tip here is to choose one non-negotiable and one flexible element in your day. So for example, our morning routine is non-negotiable, but what happens after lunch, there's where we have some flex. So this kind of structure gives you a direction, but without the pressure. And that really matters more than we realize. The fourth thing I am not doing this homeschool year is expecting everything to look perfect. I'm not putting pressure on this year to be our year. The year everything clicks, the year there's no struggles, the year I finally feel confident all of the time. This is just one year in a very long journey. Some days are going to feel steady and peaceful. Some days are going to feel frustrating and messy. And that doesn't mean anything's gone wrong. One of the most freeing shifts for me was realizing that hard days is not a homeschool failure. It's just part of learning. It's part of growth. It's just part of being a human. If you are a mom who tends to spiral when things don't go as planned, here is something that has really helped me. Instead of asking, what's wrong in our homeschool? Try asking, what does today need? Sometimes the answer is just pushing through. Sometimes it's adjusting your expectations, and sometimes it's just stopping early and regrouping. Perfection isn't the goal, faithfulness is. And the last thing I am not doing this year, and this one feels especially important to say out loud, is treating myself like an afterthought. For a long time, I built our home and homeschool around everyone else's needs. And that sounds noble, but it's not sustainable. This year, I am planning for myself right alongside our homeschool. Not in a selfish way, not in a drop everything else way, but just in a realistic, intentional way, because the mom behind the homeschool matters. If I am exhausted, overstimulated, running on fumes, it affects everything in our home. My tone, my patience, the joy in our home. So I am building small, doable habits that just support me. Movements that I actually enjoy, quiet time for creative hobbies, quiet moments that kind of refill me, rest that doesn't feel like it's something I need to earn. A very practical place to start with this, if this feels overwhelming, is just choose one little thing that brings you joy and protect it. Not someday, not later when everything else is done. This week. Try something this week. Homeschool doesn't have to cost you yourself. It actually works better when you are cared for too. If you are listening to this and realizing you don't actually need to add anything this year, just trust what's already working and let go of the pressure to constantly change. I hope this gave you some permission to just simplify, breathe, and enter a homeschool year with a little more confidence and a little more grace for yourself. And if there is one thing I hope that you take with you, it's this. A peaceful homeschool isn't built on constantly changing things. It's built by caring for the people inside it, starting with the mom. If you don't have to overhaul your homeschool to make it work. You don't have to prove anything, and you don't have to put yourself last to be faithful in this calling. So as you plan your days and your lessons, I hope you also plan for yourself, your health, your joy, your rest, because you are part of your homeschool too. If this video encouraged you, I'd love for you to let me know down in the comments what's one thing that you are choosing not to carry into this school year. That is it for today's video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.